When we trust ourselves, we are more aligned. We feel congruent with our decisions and we are more at peace. When we don't, we feel disconnected, unvaluable, and nervous to act.
Love Luna.
Welcome to another episode of Self-Love Lessons with Luna. It is so wonderful to have you on this journey with me. I hope that you're getting so much value out of it. If you do have any suggestions, if you think, oh my gosh, I would really love Luna to do an episode on blank, then go ahead and let me know. Shoot me through an email, loveyourself@moreconfidence.com.au, or send me through a DM on whatever platform we hang out on. Leave a comment in the YouTube or on the podcast. It's everywhere, so get amongst it as much as you possibly can. And send me through your suggestions. I'm an open book, and if I know how to teach it, I will absolutely do so. And this episode comes to you straight from one of you. I was making phone calls last week, having conversations with the beautiful sisters that I connected with at the Seven Sisters Festival a few weeks ago now. And a common theme came up. How do I trust myself? How do I trust myself? When it comes to potentially stopping dieting, when it comes to not being obsessed by what you look like, when it comes to maybe leaving relationships, beginning relationships, going for that job, how do we trust ourselves? And I remember this for myself so many years ago when I first decided that I was going to stop trying to lose weight. I had tried to lose weight from the age I was 16. I was either losing weight or hating myself for being fat, getting to the point where I was going to try to lose weight again anyway. That was a cycle I was constantly in for probably close to 10 years. So when I decided that I was going to stop trying to lose weight, there was a natural sense of mistrust in myself. I hadn't built enough trust within who I was. Was I going to just eat myself into oblivion? Would I never exercise again? If I didn't force myself to have to do these things, would I actually do them? Would I eat healthy food? Would I exercise? I didn't know the answer to these questions because I didn't trust myself. I didn't know myself. I didn't know that I was necessarily disciplined. I didn't know that when I applied self-love to my everyday existence, then I wouldn't want to eat junk food from morning to night. I wouldn't want to lie on the couch every single day of my life. Through the process of learning how to self-love, self-trust is critical. Because just like any relationship, it has to be built on a strong foundation of trust. If you don't trust your partner, if you don't trust your boss, if you don't trust the people around you, it makes for a pretty tricky situation in order to develop the relationship. And we are the same, if not even more important. If we can't learn how to trust ourselves, then we will not have a good foundation, a healthy foundation for self-love. So on the back of many women that I've spoken to about this very topic and their recommendations on this week's episode of Self-Love Lessons with Luna, I'm going to show you how to begin to learn to trust yourself. Let's get stuck into it. Have you ever had a bad feeling about somebody? You kind of feel it in your gut and you're not really sure why. You go, I just don't really trust that person, or I have a bad feeling about this person. Yeah, I'm sure that we've all had that kind of experience. I just don't feel right. How many times have you overridden that? Yeah, more than we'd like to speak of, actually. It's likely that that intuitive feeling that's come up inside of you has been squashed. It's been conditioned out of us. Whether or not you believe that way back when women and men had certain kind of mystical powers, certain kind of witches, back in the day they hung all the witches for having, even for dealing with any kind of herbs, women got hung for. Whether you believe that or not, we have an intuitive sense. Everyone speaks about the fact that there's a sixth sense. We have our sight, we have our smell, we have our taste, we have our touch, and we have our hearing, 5 senses. Yet what's this sense? That feeling that you get, that gut feeling. We all have it. And for some of us, it's stronger than others. And for those of us who don't feel it all that often, it's likely because it's been squashed out of us. We get told to ignore our intuition from a time we were a little kid. Think about it, even when it comes to eating. The old adage goes that you have to finish everything on your plate. Well, what if you're full? You're beginning to mistrust yourself from a very young age because you're going against your natural rhythms of who you are and how you want to eat and how you want to live. We get told to go to this place at that time. We get told that we eat at these times, and if you don't want to eat at those times, there's something wrong with you. If you want to eat outside of those times, there's something wrong with you. If you have a gut feeling and you trust that and it doesn't turn out, people are likely to say to you, see, well, I told you so. You were just freaking out. You were just in fear. You were just blah. It gets minimized. Our self-trust over the years gets squashed and minimized. And what ends up happening is us as adults now, or certainly as our late teenagers, we have spent so many times ignoring the little voice inside of us. So many times we've gone against what our feelings say, gone against that sixth sense. And after a period of time, the trust gets broken. Our inner guidance gets squashed. Typically by those who, let's face it, are probably gaining from you ignoring it, or otherwise would be adversely affected by you following your intuition. Perhaps they're intimidated by your strength and by your knowing. It's not to say that every single person who's ever doubted you is the devil or is evil. It's just that everybody has their own agenda going on. Most people have their own agenda going on in their heads. They're looking out for number one. And very often if they want to go do the thing, or if they're really happy about going into business with that person and you have the icky feeling, then they're going to want to have their viewpoint seen more than yours. And typically what happens, us with our feelings, us sensitive folk, us are the ones who really have that really strong sixth sense, often get put down so much from a young age that by the time we could even use our sensitivity for good, it's been squashed right out of us. Am I talking to you or what? There's another reason why we don't trust ourselves. Like I said, over the years when you don't listen on repeat, your inner self goes, well, they're never going to believe me anyway, and the trust gets broken. This usually happens when people have hurt us, when other people have misused our trust, when we have low self-esteem, when we have low self-worth, when we don't feel great about ourselves. What usually happens is even though they broke our trust, we make it mean that we can't trust ourselves to make good decisions. Oh, that person abused me. That person was toxic. That was a bad boyfriend. That was a horrible work relationship. Oh, I must have made a bad choice. Who's ever done this? Well, I can't trust myself because I thought that he was somebody that he turned out to not be. He wasn't that after all. How can I ever trust myself again? Rather than, I can't ever trust this knob over here because he was the one who stuffed me over. I get it. I get it that when we think somebody is someone that they say they are and they turn out that they're not, there's a sense of betrayal outwardly, but there's also a sense of betrayal inwardly. Well, why didn't my gut instinct flare up with that? There's a pretty short answer with that. Because like any muscle that we have in our body, if we're not working out our gut instinct, then it kind of tunes off. It's still there. It's still happening, it's still trying to communicate with you, but it's almost like the fiber or the wire's been cut, like an old school telephone. The wire there has been snipped and you can no longer hear what's happening. The connection has gone. So how we actually start to build on our self-trust is to start repairing that connection. We need to start listening more and acting upon the voices and the inner guidance that we're getting on a regular basis. Trust is built over time, but it's shattered in a fraction of a second. We've all had this, right? You've been with somebody that you love, who you trust implicitly, and then something happens, one thing happens, one moment, and the trust is shattered. We've been doing that to ourselves for years now. Of course we haven't been able to build our trust because the second that we go to trust ourselves, it's likely that we're breaking it on a fairly regular basis. And then we get stuck in a cycle. Firstly, I don't trust myself. Cool. We don't trust ourselves because of all the reasons why we just said. Secondly, because I don't trust myself, I don't listen. I'm not listening to myself as the things come up for me. Next, we have circumstances that we don't like. With the low self-esteem, we then blame ourselves and say, I should have trust myself. But of course we know that we don't. Again, the trust is broken. The trust is broken once again and the cycle perpetuates. I don't trust myself. I don't listen. Circumstances I don't like happen. I beat myself up for not trusting myself. The trust continues to be broken. And the cycle continues again and again and again and again and again and again and again. Trust is reliability and truth. We trust somebody else when we know that we can rely upon them and when we believe what they say and what they do and who they are. So when we can apply that to ourselves, if we don't believe that we tell the truth, if we can't rely upon ourselves, then how on earth can we actually come to trust ourselves when it comes to making any kinds of decisions? If you have spent time watching any of my other videos on self-love lifts or self-love lessons with Luna that come out every Friday, you would have a good understanding that self-love is a relationship with yourself. That's exactly what it is. You will be in a long-term relationship with yourself whether you want to or not. You are here stuck with you until it all ends for you. So we have to build the foundations of our self-love through our relationship. And that really starts with that element of trust. So let me show you how. Start with an intention. You may not have treated yourself well over the last however long you've been alive. You may have ignored yourself on so many occasions that, as I said, that cord has been cut. But you're going to go to work to mend that cord. So start with an intention. Start with speaking to yourself in a really beautiful way, as if it was a friend that you had betrayed. Because it's not just all of a sudden going to go, yay, amazing, Luna's finally showed up to hang out with her intuition, excellent, plug me back in straight away. No, there's a little bit of, well, I need to build the trust. So set some kind of intention. And here's what I recommend. So you can repeat after me. Breathe. I step into the unknown and connect with my truth. I ask that my truth be revealed. I will listen and act when I hear you call. My intention is to connect deeply with my intuition and let it guide me. Step number 2. Take yourself as if you were another person. If you were another person and you had severely broken their trust or they hadn't trusted you for a long time, would you dive right in and be like, come on, trust me, you got to do it, come on? No. Trust is shattered in a moment, right? But it's built over a long period of time. So go slowly. Step number 2 is to go slowly. Understand that this is going to take time. I can't wave the magic wand and give you the magic pill. You're going to have to work on this and go slowly. Allow yourself time. Maybe go, you know what, I want to build my self-trust over the next 12 months, 2 years, 5 years. I want to build my self-trust over the rest of my life so I just deepen more and more into who I am and more into my intuition and my guidance. And finally, step 3, take baby steps. You know, if you get that niggling feeling that says, you need to leave your partner, or that niggling feeling that goes, you need to move to Jamaica, I mean, good luck now. But if you get that niggling feeling that says something massive needs to change, refer back to step 2. Go slow. And step 3, we take baby steps. Small steps. You're building the muscle within inside of yourself. So if you go to walk out of the house and you get that little feeling like, oh, I feel like I've forgotten something, trust it. Go back inside and have a look around and spend another 2 or 3 minutes having a look around and asking and setting that intention again. Okay, I feel I've got the niggle that something I've forgotten here. I'm here, I'm present. You might be there for 2 to 3 minutes and nothing comes for you. That's okay. You ask and you honor it and say, thank you, I've trusted it, and you've walked out. Excellent. You may still find that you remember it later. That's okay. But what you're doing is honoring each and every time you get that niggle, you get that feeling, you get that, something needed to happen at that point. Trust it in the small moments. Eventually you'll get to a point where you can trust it in the big moments, but we need to take baby steps. We need to take one step at a time. So have a strong intention. Go slow and take baby steps. I know that many of you really struggle with self-love. Hey, that's why we're here, and I'm so glad that I get to be of service in this kind of way. I also know that there's many of you who would love the opportunity to maybe work one-on-one with me, but probably finances might get in the way of that. You understand that working with me one-on-one probably isn't the cheapest thing that's ever going to happen. P.S. It's actually more reasonable than you might think. So because of this, because there might be a bit of a financial barrier to working one-on-one with me, and although you're probably getting a lot of value out of these self-love lessons with Luna, it's not as intense because, it's not live and I can't give you one-on-one and individual guidance. So I came up with a middle ground. Particularly in this time of need, I feel like so many of us are sort of emerging. We are misaligned. It feels like there's so much going on out in the world, of course, in the current climate, but that level of self-trust that we have in ourselves is missing. That level of self-love, the self-worth, the idea that maybe there's a bigger part of you, a bigger calling that needs to come through. I know that it's niggling for you. I know that it's there, but you might not know how to break through your own self in order to get there. And this is why I've created Inner Alignment Training. This is an 8-week container, a container with me and just 12 women, where we will journey through self-love, self-esteem, building your self-worth, learning how to trust yourself, removing the negative self-talk, so you can actually come into alignment with yourself. Many of us do not know how to be in our bodies. Our sex has been closed off. And I'm not talking about going out and sleeping with people. I'm talking about our inner sensuality and our sexuality. Our power and our intuition has been closed off, mostly because this up here goes absolutely bananas. And then our higher purpose has been disconnected. All those things exist within you and are in your realm. And I specialize in helping people bring those all together, to line them up so you can be aligned inwardly. Applications are now open for 12 women who are feeling the call to come and join me, who are feeling the call to get themselves aligned, to remove the self-hate, to integrate the soul, the body, the mind, to get clarity in the mind and the heart so the confusion stops, to love yourself and love your body, to deal with your emotions more effectively so they don't overtake you. And finally, to quieten the negative self-talk so you can return to wholeness. I'm looking for women who are ready to make this change. We will have a weekly online group discourse where I will give you all the information that you need and an open discussion panel for us to be able to work through some of these really deeper issues that are holding us back. And we will also have weekly group coaching calls. So you can have a chance to have one-on-one time with me and also to learn from the experiences of the other women in the group. It's never too late to come home to your soul. It's the feeling that you've been getting. It's the niggling call to rise, to live differently, to let go. To let go of the mask that you wear and the armor that is ever so heavy. To finally allow your truth to be revealed. I call you now. I call you now to come and get in touch with me. Shoot me through an email at loveyourself@moreconfidence.com.au or send me a text 0403 981 597. I'm really looking for people who are ready to go. People who you might still have fear, and that's perfectly okay. I'm going to guide you through that, but you're ready to burst. You're ready to birth the true you to come out of you and to really become in alignment with who you are. If this is you, then please get in touch. We'll be getting started towards the end of April, early May for this beautiful, inclusive, safe, trusting container of 12 fantastic women. Come and join me for some inner alignment training. I really look forward to hearing from you. In the meantime, Self-Love Lessons with Luna happen every single Friday. So catch it on YouTube, the podcast, as well as on Facebook, and wherever else you catch me, you will typically find links. Until we meet again, happy self-loving.